Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. I am Shantae Grant, your host, and today I've got a short message for you and an invitation as well. So I taught a live class I believe it was in October, called Not Waiting for January, How to Optimize Your Time and Build Your Consistency Muscles Starting Today. You can actually get that class right now. It may be on a secret menu by the time you hear this, but right now at notwaitingforjanuary.com, or you can go to besttoday.co /secret. It will be on the secret menu as well once it goes away at the end of this year when I'm recording this in real time. And it's such an important class because inside it, I'm talking to you about exactly what I just said, optimizing your time, but understanding the things that are currently in the way to keep you from doing just that. Because it's one thing for someone to teach you something, but if I don't remove the things that are hindering you to do the things that I'm going to teach you, then you're not going to have the success you're looking for, the sustainability. You know, it's really hard to have a cup that's full of dirt and then have someone teach you how to clean a glass, but they first don't tell you you've got to acknowledge there's dirt in the cup and we've got to empty the dirt out of the cup, right? And then we got to think about how do we get the dirt in the cup, because I'm guessing you don't want the dirt back in the cup, right? So all that to say, inside of that, we talked about 6 different things, and I want to talk to you about the one that resonated most deeply with everyone who was in the live class and who has watched the replay. Again, you can get that replay at notwaitingforjanuary.com or just go to besttoday.co /secret. That's where our secret menu is of products. So here's the thing. So that's what we're going to talk about today, right? And it correlates very well with last week's episode. If you have not listened to episode 93, I talked to you about an important truth about perfection or perfectionism or being a perfectionist. It's a short episode as well. Please mark and make plans to go back and listen to that episode 93. But I want to talk to you today about, and again, this came out of, I've been teaching this for years. But again, the reason I wanted to share it with you is because it's one small part of the Not Waiting for January class, which I want you to go in. So the invitation is for you to go and listen to the entire class. You can watch the replay over and over as long as we have it available for you. So you can go again and get that at notwaitingforjanuary.com, which will be linked in today's show notes at besttoday.co /94 or besttoday.co /secret. But so I want to talk to you about this human tendency of waiting for quote unquote perfect timing to start things, right? I want to invite you not to wait, right, for quote unquote perfect timing to start. I think in part because we all understand that perfect timing doesn't really exist in a way that is helpful to use it as a pinpoint for when you're going to start something, right? You can have something happen and say, oh, that was perfect timing. Or you can say, I'm waiting for the perfect time for this thing, but what does that actually mean? What does that mean in respects of, is this really a way that you're putting it off to start right now? Because we talked about last week about this whole misunderstanding of the root of that perfection being fear. And so what I know to be true when we understand human nature, human behavior, is that it's really easy to say, I'll start when ... I will start when I'm better at this thing. You know, I think that's always so interesting when people say, oh, I'll start using your products when I get better at being consistent with my time. And I'm like, Now, the things I do can teach you how to be consistent with your time, but you're going to start using those things that can help you when you already overcome how to do the thing. That's like telling your doctor, I'll start taking my medicine once I start feeling better. I'll use my umbrella once I go outside and get wet. It's supposed to help you prevent getting wet so you could have it proactively. So when you really think about it, a lot of the human nature thing, it just doesn't make sense logically. It doesn't make sense in practicality and actuality as well. So saying things like, "Oh, I'm waiting until my schedule lightens up, and then that's when I'm going to insert that thing that you've been wanting to do that really matters to you, that could be a great benefit to you. That even if you start incorporating it in your day in very small ways but consistent ways, could have a great impact on you." Oh, once things aren't so hectic, that's when I'm going to insert the thing, right? Again, first of all, if things are so hectic, maybe what we need to do is pause and do some analysis on why they are so hectic and how we can rectify that, right? But it's all but the human tendency to wait for quote unquote perfect conditions, perfect times, sometimes even better conditions, when it's okay to just start now where you are with what you have. And there's another one, as soon as I get a new house, that's when I'm going to really start getting into like being more organized and having a place for everything. But my question for you, and I asked this in the class, tell me which of these two scenarios do you think is more likely for you to, let's say, get into a new house. And you say that's when you're going to start getting more organized, having a space for everything, getting rid of some clutter. I'm just going to wait till I move into a new house. Do you think it's going to be easier? Which one? Scenario one or two? Scenario one, you move into a new house and you think you're going to start all these new habits that you've never practiced before in an old house. You're going to all of a sudden begin being more intentional about what you bring into your spaces. All of a sudden, you're going to be intentional about creating, putting places for, or defining spaces for everything, and then setting reset routines and putting them back at the end of the night or week. That's scenario one. You're just all of a sudden, when you get in this new house, going to become this magical new person who does all these things because you're in a new house. Or two, is it more likely that if you start right now where you are, streamlining, being more organized, whatever that might mean to you, and meaning that having a plan, maybe that looks like doing clean one room, our program that teaches you how to clean one room at a time and set it on a reset routine, starting to purge things that you don't need, and you get in the habit and the practice right now in the wherever you are. Let's say you're in a 1-bedroom apartment, and what's more likely when you get to that new house, if you're continuing habits you already started right now in a new space? Is that going to be more likely, or is it going to be more likely that you'll just completely be this whole new person all of a sudden doing all these things you've never done before just because you got a new house? I hope you can tell from my voice that is very unlikely. It's very unlikely to pick up skills and talents, or not talents, and habits that you've not practiced right now in real life where you are just because you get into a new environment. Okay? What's easier, rather than saying, as soon as I get a new house, I'm going to do this, is saying, man, I know when I get a new house, I really want to make sure that this is the way I want to live. I want to live that way right now, even though I may not be in the home that I would love and that's my favorite and my top choice. But what I will do is start practicing that now. Let me start practicing what it looks like to go through each room and pull the things that I've not used, I don't like, and have no function. They're broken. They're missing. They're incomplete. I don't wear it anymore. It doesn't fit. It doesn't function. No one touches this thing. If I just go through and get rid of all those things, that's one thing I can get started with. What if I then do blah, 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 right? Stop waiting for perfect or better timing or conditions to do the things that matter to you in your life, that will better you and your life and the people around you. I'll start when ... is a lie. Stop it. Stop it today. Stop it right now. I'll start as soon as ... lies, and the truth ain't in you. Okay? Let's change that, however, today. That's the good news, right? Because the problem with this, I'll start when, or I'm waiting until, or once things aren't so, or as soon as I get, the problem with these is that conditions are very likely never to be quote unquote perfect, or to a place where you will not be able to identify a reason why you can't start, why this isn't the best time, why this isn't a good time. You will always find a reason why now is not the optimal time. And so I want to invite you to stop thinking in that way and then start thinking. And I talk about this in another episode. We'll link to it in the show notes. I don't remember the title, probably the one question you can ask yourself that will change everything. I feel like that might be the answer. But, what would you do if you wanted this to actually work? What would I do if I actually wanted this to work? I'd stop looking for holes. I'd stop saying, oh, over here, over there, when this happens, when I'm that, once this happens, I'm just waiting for blah, blah, blah. Okay. Because like I talked about last week, this whole waiting for perfect conditions, perfectionism is rooted in fear and ego. Also, are we trying to just avoid the effort that it takes to live life? Like a lot of what you want, I'm almost willing to say almost everything that you desire deep down, deep down, deep down, everything, all of it, they all require your effort. So there is no way to get what you want and avoid effort. So now that we all understand that, and we know that you're worth the effort it takes, we can stop avoiding the effort. Because I talked about this last week in episode 93 as well. Doing something new, doing something differently, it can be uncomfortable, it can be messy, it can be clunky. It's part of the process, part of the journey. It's like watching someone learn how to skate. Get your behind ready, right? You're gonna fall on it, chances are. Get your hands ready to catch you. But then get back up and keep rolling. It's sometimes going to be that way. And if you're thinking that waiting for these conditions to change is going to make it less clunky, less likely that you're going to fall. No, that's just the journey of learning how to do something new or starting something new or starting something again. It doesn't even have to be starting something brand new. But today is the time you have the most control over. So that's another thing I need you to understand, why all this, when this happens, after this happened, as soon as this happens, once upon a time, this fairy tales, right? All of that is talking about a future that does not exist and that you're not promised. If we go and keep it 100, as the young people say, today is it's the only time you have control over. And this moment, this exact moment, because today is all we have. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow does not exist. So why keep putting things off into a space that doesn't exist when you can do something now? Today is the best day to make the choices that better your life. And that's what I want you to know from this episode, is that you don't have to wait for a new house, a new product to come in the mail, a new day, right? A new year, a new season. When things get less like this, you don't have to wait. You can look at your life right now and you can start making decisions to undo some of the things that have you in a place you don't want to be and to replace those things with things that will help you. Okay? This is really, really important. There will be no more waiting for ideal conditions before you make decisions and start doing the things that you need. Okay? And the first thing you're going to do is watch the not waiting for January class replay, which I've made available for you at besttoday.co/secret. It's also at notwaitingforjanuary.com. Go watch that because I need you to get all of the lessons. This is just a small speck of what I taught in there, one little thing. But there is so much I need you to go in there and understand. In particular, if you need help with building your consistency muscles, I want to help you. And so one of the first things I need you to understand that you are doing, that I'd like you to invite you to stop doing, is stop seeking, waiting for perfect timing, perfect conditions, better conditions, more ideal circumstances to live your life, to make choices that you have the power to do, but it requires some effort. And yes, you're going to have to overlook all of those excuses that you have because some of them might be pretty valid. but it's your life. And I'm always going to invite you to live it fully and intentionally. That's what I have for you today. So thank you so much for listening. Go get your seat and watch the replay to Not Waiting for January. This is your invitation to do that right now so that this way of thinking that I'm talking to you about right now becomes second nature to you, so that you can also go in and identify what are those other stumbling blocks that are keeping you from building your consistency muscles and optimizing your time. besttoday.co/secret or notwaitingforjanuary.com. I'm so excited to hear after you watch this class. Thank you for being present with me for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Until next time, remember that you are capable and worthy of being your best, one today at a time, and you have everything you need to have everything you want. So go on and shout it out as you live it out. This is what my best today looks like. I'll talk to you on the next episode.